And here's the fiberglass, what's left of the fiberglass body for our little buggy. We cut everything out, ground everything down, started bonding in washers where we're going to be doing connections to our tubular frame. Be adding a few more of those along the way here and doing a bit of fiber repair and full glaze coat of resin across the entire bottom of this thing so it's not so nasty looking and feeling. But got a lot of work ahead of us to make this thing come together. It's going to be kind of crazy. I hope that I can be heard over the sound of 3 ceiling fans, 124-inch industrial fan, and a MIG welder all running at once. But we brought up our fiberglass. Now find the cardboard here. Oh, sorry for the video weirdness. Here's our fiberglass, the underside of it. This is just it's literally just barely the top cover. There's no pan or anything because we cut it all away. So we're going to be re-glassing and patching some cracks. As you can see here, we've got a nasty split at this spot. All along these top edges, it's really thin. And there's some glass patching up in a crack here and a crack over here as well. We cleaned all this along, but there's also some really thin fiberglass in here. So we're going to be laying new fiber and new resin all along here so that we can reinforce all of this. So that's our next spot. And even though we said we were all done with most of this until the fiberglass got back, well, after we installed that tow bar, we realized having a way to hook it so that it wouldn't fall would be good. So I took a couple of big heavy eye bolts and welded one to here and one to the front middle up here. And they're already at a powder coated point ready to be colored with the rest. And now we can stretch a cable or a ratchet tie or I don't know, something in between the two and tie it off when it's not used for towing and have it so that this isn't flopping all around. So, keep finding little things to add here and there. I'm sure it'll happen the whole way through this project. Hopefully you're all enjoying these little videos and I'll keep making some more. Okay, so as you can see, we've done all that fabulous work. As you can also tell, I got a new phone and have been able to do some different types of video, and so now I can include some time lapse where you guys actually get to see a little bit of work but don't have to watch for hours of stupid video. So moving along, gaining in technology. But anyway, we've prepped this whole section here, the 2 main cracks in this front clip here. Cut them through, ground them all off, got them taped for our first bits of repair. Gonna break out the resin and some cloth, cut some pieces of cloth down to fill into the cracks, and then we'll do our first layer here of some mesh and resin, and we'll hopefully get the camera all set up in a different spot and be able to have you all watch that again in our fabulous new time lapse. So you'll actually get to see me do the work instead of just start and stops. Like I say, trying to learn how to do this YouTube stuff and make new videos that are better and people enjoy watching, hopefully. All right, here we are. All of our supplies. We got 2-part epoxy, little container, chip brush, mixing stick, fiberglass cloth packets. So our next stage would be to cut some of this fiberglass cloth up into strips and pieces to fit through our crack spots. Get those all ready to go. Then we'll mix up some resin and get ready to start laying it in and filling these cracks. So that will be our next little bit of time-lapse video going down. Alright, so that was the first run of resin and some fiberglass cloth. And the initial crack filling has been dealt with in those two main places. Used the extra bit of resin I had to kind of just spread it around. I plan on resin coating the entire face surface, just underneath here, all over the entire thing, because a lot of this fiberglass, as you can see, is starting to peek back through what resin it had on it from 1960 something. And then maybe any repairs that were done along the way, which I've chopped some bits and pieces here and there out of, that were obviously repairs. But yeah, just gonna re-glass the whole thing on the inside here so that it's got that nice smooth surface. But figured I'd spread a little while I was working on this. So once this stuff hardens up, we got our fan out here sitting, blowing across it and sitting in the sun. This afternoon it'll cook right there nicely and get hard. Once it's all hard, we'll do wider patches. So we only filled in a little bit right along the edge here to get this first layer going. And the next piece that we get will probably come out about 6 inches on each side of that crack with a piece of cloth and spread it all the way around from edge out so that it becomes a big full sheet through there on both those spots. And then once this is all hard, we'll flip it over, sand out, scuff the other side, and do a little bit of fill on that side too to process into that crack. You probably still see there's a bit of hollowness in here that'll have to be filled from the other side as well. So this is a multi-part bit just to get this front clip back to reinforced. I'm sure if you look back in some of the older clips of video, you'll see that whoever originally made these repairs back in the day actually had some strips of galvanized metal that they'd cut and stuck through here, and you can actually still see the screw holes and some of the screws that are buried in the fiberglass where we cut those pieces out. And here's one here and this one here, and the same thing on the other. You can actually still see some of those little metal screws right there, and now there's anything on my finger up right there. There's multiple holes through it, holding the piece of galvanized metal to reinforce it. We wanted to just have good fiberglass work done. Clean it all back up nice and neat. There you have it. First coat of glass. Clear epoxy resin mix. Spread across the entire underneath surface. Clean fabric, larger sheets of it laid across these big crack spaces, reinforcing them with large panels of it. And all the way down both sides, all glossy, shiny, cleaned up underneath. Get rid of all that loose fiber that was starting to hang out. Triple bond across this bad boy. Some patches of fabric. This stuff is dripping like crazy. And yes, I dripped it all over my concrete. As you can tell, I really don't give a flying damn about the concrete. Chip it up, sand it off, go right back to it. It's concrete. It's a driveway. It's in front of the garage. It's gonna get schmeg on it. That's life. And we just keep right on rolling. Hopefully, tomorrow morning, this will be rock hard. We can start doing a little bit of edge cleanup. See where we're gonna need to do any other reinforcement. And clean up along this thing. Hopefully. Resin epoxy claims to be fast dry, but I'm not buying it. I'm thinking it's going to take quite some time to dry and be hard. So maybe by tomorrow morning it will be hard enough to play with, and we'll see where we go from there. And here we go. This is the initial coat. Dry the next day. This took a lot longer to dry than I assumed it would. Now it's nice and dry and all glassy, shiny glassy. And all that fiber that was sticking through so bad is now under a nice coat, smooth to the touch. So that's the new undercoat. Our patches turned out pretty good. They look like they're pretty clean. Flip them over and fill them up a little bit from the back side. A little more fabric on that end. Get them all cleaned up. So I'm pretty happy. Everything came out pretty good. Looks a lot better than it did before. Nice and shiny and slick. Should be real good underneath. A few bits and pieces here and there that are still sticking through, but might end up putting another little bit of a coat. Pretty happy with the way it penetrated into the edges of this stuff, where there were some pockets. Now they're all solid, filled in. So all in all, it came out pretty good. I'm pretty happy with how it worked. Yeah, we made a mess of the concrete. That's going to be a bit more work. Stupid on my part not to throw down a tarp, but live, learn, pay the price. So much nicer. Until next time, we'll be working on the glass on the top. See you then.